Hello guys, welcome back to Snap Podcast, and now I'm bringing a brand new episode to you all. Today I'm going to present you about the life of migrant workers in Thailand, and today I invite a special guest as well. So now I'm here with Mui Bonsider. So hello Mui, good to see you again. How's it going?
Hi, Sa. It's great to talk to you again after we part ways
Sure.
1 week ago.
So okay, good to see you again. So can you please introduce about yourself and any other about your organization?
Sure. So my full name is Bunsitara Wisopiding, but you can call me Boy. I'm currently working as a senior project executive at Rapid Asia. So we do research and we do consulting for development organizations such as UN agencies or NGOs. So mainly I work on migration and labor rights, human rights project. So that will be my main interest as well. And I also do a side project called Visible Project. It's about, so we aim to raise awareness and promote a sense of equality between Thai people and migrant workers through art.
Oh, great. Okay. So, if you have more detail about the estimated number of migrant workers in Thailand, maybe like it may be legal or illegal or both legal and illegal. Do you know the estimated number of migrant workers in Thailand?
So, if I'm not wrong, so we have now about 3.5 million migrant workers from neighboring countries such as Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. And the registered and unregistered migrant workers are not so far, the numbers are not so far apart. So about 1 million to 2 million are unregistered migrant workers. So these migrants are predominantly employed in several work sectors such as fishing, agriculture, construction, manufacturing, domestic workers, or sometimes other services.
Okay. So if I have a chance to make more details, do you know the number of Burmese workers, like Myanmar workers from Myanmar, and how many percentage of them participate in overall migrant workers in Thailand?
So actually most migrants are from Myanmar. So more than half of migrants are from Myanmar. So they're fairly even split between male and female. So it's about 50-50.
Great. Because I saw you make lots of project with Burmese worker because you make present in UNO, so I saw that, oh my god, lots of Burmese people. So, great. Okay, so if for a migrant worker who want to move to or who want to flee to your country, what are the basic needs to become legal, like a work permit or sometimes visa, passport, or like a land or work permit, something? Yeah.
So now we actually have two formal ways for people to migrate to Thailand. So first one is through the MOU channel, and the second one is for border employment scheme. So these have been signed about, it's actually like 20 years ago, the MOU between Thailand and Laos, Cambodia and Myanmar to enable migrants to work legally with full protection in of Thailand's labor law. So for the MOU, it's like formal channel that would be like the best way to migrate to Thailand, but somehow it's cost a lot. That's the downside of it. It costs a lot to have to prepare passport, prepare documents, and one of the most popular way for people to migrate is through the broker, which sometimes it's not that I would say it's not that good because like sometimes it depends on how that broker being fair to you. Sometimes they charge a lot and then they just leave, or they just left you at the border. So that case happened before as well. And then it's very easy for people to get trafficked through that broker situation. But then Thai government also tried to legalize irregular migrants. So it's a few years ago, the government said that so if you're undocumented migrant workers who live in Thailand, so please come forward, and then they provide some legal documents so they can live and work in Thailand with full protection.
Yeah, because like in our country, some of the people they cannot afford the money to move to Thailand, and then they make a loan money. They loan money from some places, like, and then they connected with like some agency, and after that, they at first they hope that we would be legal if we connect with agency, but then the agency make bullshit, and then they they will be they are arrested when they arrive to Thailand. So okay, good. So for the next question, so what kind of support for the legal worker get, like health service and education, or do they have some protection from the government, like a law protection? So yeah.
Yes, so according to the law, they have the right to access to health services. So now it's pretty new. We have it's like migrants insurance. It's like health insurance for migrant workers who have work permit. So they're working in Thailand legally, and then they also have education for the children, and then rights to get overtime paid and paid holidays. Those are the rights that they have, but also sometimes they're mainly dependent on the employer and also the work sector. So for example, if they work in domestic worker, sometimes the employer might have some agreement with them. So okay, so this month no holiday, and then you can get holiday next month. So it's really dependent on the employer. But then if you work in manufacturing sector, if you work in a factory, then you will have like, okay, Sunday off, or you have 2 hours of lunch break, and then you work from this time to this time. So that would create less risk for them to being it's like involuntary work. But also some migrants are not aware of their rights or work benefits. So now many local NGOs they already implemented and still working in many areas across Thailand to provide training for migrant workers that, okay, these are the rights that you have. So some of the training, like the topics are awareness of rights, how to seek for assistance if they face some issues with employer or their colleague, and some prevention of potential human trafficking that could happen, and some access to legal assistance.
So this is the additional question, like, do you have any experience about addressing the issues between the employees and migrant workers? Like, because like I had about some salary cases, working hours, overtime, something. So do you have any experience on addressing the issues?
So I'm not like close to a case, but then I did some research, and then I read the interviews, and then we did interviews with, actually, I think a Burmese worker that had some issues with employer. So this was like they were working for this employer, but then the employer does not pay them, so they keep the wage, and then so they went to a local NGO for help. So they seek for help, and then the local NGO helped them find the attorney, and then they sue the employer, and then the workers get all the compensation and all the money back. So there are many cases that the local NGOs work with the migrant workers, and then they win the case. So I believe that mostly if the workers, they wanted to sue the employee in Thailand, our labor law is pretty strong. Not all cases, but it's still pretty strong. So if you're an employee, then you're more likely to win the case if you have evidence and people who helped you.
Okay. So like in your opinion, like a personal opinion maybe, so what are the biggest problems for legal and illegal workers in Thailand? it will relate with any other migrant worker like Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar. So what are the problems for them? Biggest problems.
So I think biggest problem.
Sure, yeah.
I can talk on both employer and migrant worker side. So for the employer, they often complain about the lack of clarity in local policy and laws, and then there's a high risk of losing their workers. So sometimes the worker comes and then they get all the documents. The employer pay for all the documents, and then after that 1 or 2 months, the workers leave them. So that's also one of the concerns from the employer side, because now we really have a labor shortage issue in Thailand, and also their high dependence on the broker system. So it's very hard for them to contact with migrant workers directly. But now, from my personal from observing on Facebook, there's some Facebook groups that employer and workers can talk directly, and then they can hire directly from there. On the migrant workers side, I think the main problem would be, as I mentioned, the high fees of getting a document or being a registered migrant, and then it's sometimes not easily accessible, and also some dissemination of false information by employer, the broker, or authorities themselves. That would be one of the, it's a fake news. So it's like people getting this news and then they believe that, okay, this is happening, but then actually it's not. And then the ability to get a job without being documented migrants, that is also pretty difficult, especially during COVID situation. So some employer might be, oh, I don't want to hire you because you don't have a proper document. So that could be also a barrier for migrant workers who don't have proper documentation.
Oh, great.
And also, I think the last thing could be the lack of training or skill development. So some people, sometimes they come and then like they cannot access to the training that's provided by local NGOs. So sometimes it's a mismatch of opportunities. So they want to work, but then they don't have the skills for the job that is available. And sometimes it's the opposite.
Yeah, because Sen didn't have enough training for their related workspaces. Yeah, that's one of the problems. So how about the situation of human trafficking in Thailand, especially in bordering places? Like the rate is higher or lower in these years? How about that?
I think from the research I did recently, it went down a bit.
Wow.
For the human trafficking case, compared to like 2-3 years ago. But then there's still some cases that's still happening, especially like in the border. There's some law violating. Sometimes they take the passports, and there's so many cases that it comes to like violence. Sometimes when migrants that don't have proper documents, they are afraid of going through this complaint mechanism. If something happened to them, if the employer abused them, they don't want to go to the police because they could be deported back to the country because they don't have the proper documentation. Also, sometimes this creates an opportunity for illegal smugglers. So there are formal ways and there are informal ways that sometimes people cross border through the forest. So that could be another channel that people come in, and that is very risky, I would say, especially during COVID. Some people were reported going back to their country of origin through the forest, and then some got caught by the police. So it was very sad to hear in the news, because since COVID happened, there's so many news coming out of also mainstream media that okay, migrants are who are those who spread COVID, which we know is not true. But then the media is trying to paint this thing, and then some people believe it, and then some of the people who are aware that they are like, okay, this news is totally fake news, something like that. So this like really create higher chance of like human trafficking cases, that people have bad like negative attitudes towards migrants, and then the social protection are not there. So I believe that like the public attitudes can lead to how the policies have been like created in the country. So it's very important to tackle this attitudes of the local people.
Okay, so yeah, because like due to the current situations here in our country, like most of the people trying to flee the country, and some of them have to move another places for their work, because like there is no guarantee for the security here. So yeah, actually, yeah, like I mentioned before, some connect with the agency, and then they can be human trafficked. Okay, so how about your future plan for migrant workers? Because like you did lots of project with workers, so how about your future plan for them? Yeah.
So my project, as I mentioned, is called Visible Project. So this project actually inspired by research that I worked on 2019. It was my first project when I started working. So it's about public attitudes towards migrant workers. It's in Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. So it kind of like made me really dig deep into this issue, because I believe that for generations, media coverage, educational system, historical narrative, and the national identity have shaped all these attitudes, and then they can only be a change through a long-term commitment to build greater awareness of not only the positive contribution that migrant workers make, but then also as a human being as well. So I think to get people to consider their own beliefs, emotions, opinions on this particular subject is a crucial aspect of driving social change. And I think that art can be a vehicle for us to go beyond the boundaries of what we currently know or think. And then, yeah, and personally, I love arts. I think like it breaks all the barriers of the language and the culture. Like we don't have to speak the same language to understand each other anymore through art. So what I did, so we had like the first workshop in July. So with like the theme of connecting with ourselves and others through a concept of art therapy, where participants can express themselves in several ways, including dancing, reflecting through photos, and painting the story of their life on canvas. And then we have about 30 participants in total, including Burmese and Thai participants. So this workshop, like, it received a lot of positive feedback. It's actually very surprising, because like when I first started, it was very tough journey. But then, yeah, towards the end of this year, we aim to organize like a small art exhibition featuring artworks from the workshop, with like a glimpse of storytelling to expand the exposure on this issue to the public. So that's our plan for this year, for several months left.
Okay, great. Yeah. So do you have anything else to talk about, anything else to the people who listening to this podcast? Because like some of them who listening this podcast I think they will think about Thailand would be a great place to work. So if you have something to say, okay, go on.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I really welcome people who wanted to live and work in Thailand. I think we would be a great like combination. Like our culture, despite like differences, we also have similar culture. And then like like why not?
Okay.
Like it's like if we can live together, we share our cultures, diversity. I think there's no border anymore. I don't really believe in building border or wall. I think it should be like we can. It would be like great if we could cross border and then we could work anywhere. We could like live together, like exchange our cultures, and then yeah, the last thing I would say is like regarding the situation in Myanmar, like my heart is with Burmese people. Like you are so brave to create this change. And
Yeah.
then I wish you like all the best and all the power to fight against military dictatorship. Like I just want to say that I stand with you, and then yeah, it's really create an impact also on Thai people. Like we need to voice out more. We need to fight more. Like and Myanmar, like Burmese people would be a really great example of how we could go there. And then also thank you, Salu, for inviting me to share the story about migration situation in Thailand today. So hope it is useful for those who listen to this podcast today. And then if you have any questions, you can always ask me or Salu to contact me.
Okay, thank you so much, May. This is the second English version episode for this channel, and then thank you so much, May. Again, this today topic is about the migration situation in Thailand, and hope to see you again in future.